What is the procedure? In a plastic container, like the container that you have on the screen right now, you collect the sample of oil and you put a label on the plastic container, and in the label you mark the serial number of the engine, the model of the engine, the oil used on that oil, the miles or hours on the oil on the engine, and that's the information that you need. Alright, with that information and the sample of oil, you send to the laboratory in each city, in the city where you are located, 100% sure that there are laboratories. Normally Caterpillar have your own laboratories, but those laboratories have a public service. Cummins also, Detroit Diesel also. 100% sure that in your city you have dealers of Caterpillar, Cummins. In those dealers they have laboratory to analyze the oil. Not only the oil, the coolant and the transmission oil. This table is available in my webpage. This is the table. You found another table similar to this one for coolant and other table similar to this one for the codes. This table is adhesive. You remove the paper and you can post it in your minivan, in your shop. This table is wonderful because you have all the metal, the cause, the symptom, the solution, medal by medal, organized in a wonderful table. This is a good tool for a mechanic in your shop, in your office, in your minivan. Where you found the chromium? Yes, on the piston rings. Yes, the piston rings have a high content of chromium. What is the symptom? If you have problem with the piston rings, oil blow by and you have low compression. Yeah, that's the first symptom, low compression, and you have a little amount of oil entering in the combustion chamber, not too much. And what is the solution? The solution to verify if I have problem on the rings is the compression test. Chromium. And now we are going to analyze lead, PB, lead. Okay, and normally the concentration is in between 40 and 100 parts per million. Once again, depend of the laboratory. Alright, and where you found that lead? Yes, on the plain bearings. On the plain bearings, it's very common that you found the lead. And what is the symptom? Low oil pressure and knocking. Yes, my friend, remember, the bearings in contact with the crankshaft and the bearings in contact with the camshaft are the elements that keep the pressure recommended for the manufacturer. If the bobbin, if the soft metal is gone on those bearings, you have too much play, the oil pressure decrease, and you have knocking, and you have that consequence. And what is the solution? Rebuild the engine. If you need to replace the bearing, you need to rebuild the engine. And now we are going to continue with other important element, is the aluminum. The aluminum. And we are going to check where we found that aluminum. Aluminum is on the pistons. And that's the most important part, on the pistons. And what is the consequence? Of course, loss of power, loss of compression. And what is the solution? Rebuild the engine. Yeah, if you have problem on the pistons, rebuild the engine. Different aluminum castings. The case of the coolant pump. The case of, in some cases, brackets. A lot of cases internally in the engines are fabricated in aluminum. You need to analyze where is the problem and try to identify where is the wear. Okay, what happens if the problem is on the piston? Probably you have a detonation, you have a loss of power, you have a low compression, you have a knocking, and you can verify if the problem is on the piston with the compression test, with the cylinder leak test, this is the previous episode, and also you can verify with the camera, with the borescope. You introduce the camera and you verify the condition of the head of the pistons and the condition of the liner, and you can take a decision if you need to remove the head or not. But normally when you remove the head, you clarify the majority of those types of problems. Now we are going to continue with copper. Other important element is copper. Copper, the concentration normally should be in between 10 and 50 parts per million. Where we found that copper? Okay, on the bearings, on the turbo. You remember those bearings, and the bearings on the small rod, on the connecting rods. That small rod is also in copper. It's a bronze alloy. Yes, in general is in plain bearings. And what is the consequence? Immediately, if you have problems on the turbo, you have black smoke, you have noise, and of course, in some cases, low oil pressure. And what is the solution? Rebuild the turbocharger in that specific case. On the oil cooler, remember that in this moment we are analyzing metals in contact with the oil. Okay, the oil passed through the oil cooler, and the oil cooler is fabricated in a special famous alloy. You remember that alloy? Is the copper nickel 9010. The copper nickel alloy is famous for oil coolers. This is an alloy with a low corrosivity. For that reason, it's used in marine environments. Okay, the oil cooler is affected. You have milky oil mixed with salt water. That's different than when the oil is milky, because it's mixed with it's emulsified with coolant. It's different. In that case, because it's emulsified with salt water, the odor is not good. The odor of the oil is not good, and additionally, the color is brown. It's specific when the oil is mixed with salt water, and this is not good because the engine is damaged internally. The salt water destroyed everything. We are going to continue with nickel, important element in the fabrication of marine parts. Alright, nickel, inside of the engine. Where you found the nickel? On the crankshaft and the camshaft. Yes, my friends, this is a special alloy with a high content of nickel. But if you have problems where crankshaft or camshaft, you have serious problem in your engine. Yes, you have a low engine performance, probably 100% sure that you have a knocking code on the computer, because you have too much play in between the bearings and the crankshaft. And if the crankshaft or the camshaft is wear, you need to rebuild the engine as soon as possible. Alright, on the valve train, I explained before, it's exactly the same. You have too much play on the rocker arms, and you have too much play in between the valve and the valve guide, and 100% sure that you have excessive oil consumption and you have blue smoke, and of course the engine performance is down. Alright, the excessive oil consumption, and you need work on the head. Yes, it's possible to repair only the head. Yes, you remove the head and you send the head to the machine shop, and they replace the valve guides, the seals, the seat valves, and the head is completely recovered. Okay, zinc. Where I found that high content of zinc, the zinc should be in between 10 and 20 parts per million. Okay, I have a high content of zinc in oil additives. Once again, in the additives or anti-age additives. What is the consequence? Too much coolant deposits, and if those additives are on the oil, you found too much gel on the oil pan. Flush the coolant and flush the oil, both of them. And on the plain bearings. On the plain bearing also you found the zinc. And what is the symptom? Low oil pressure. If the plain bearings, if the soft metal or babbitt or white metal is gone on the plain bearings, 100% sure you have a low oil pressure, and you have too much play, and you have a knock sensor activated. And rebuild the engine. That's not good. I found it in titanium in the cylinder liners. And once again, you know, low engine compression if the cylinder's low engine performance, and you need to check the compression test and normally rebuild the engine. This is the consequence. Okay, we are going to continue with other elements, but we are going to start with additives. And after that, we are going to continue with the contaminants. This is the first additive that we found in the oil sample. Phosphorus. Oil additives, anti-wear. What is the symptom? In general, no affect the performance. No affect the performance, only affect the amount of deposits on the oil pan. And probably if you added too much additives, you clogged the cavities where the oil pass. You need to change the oil, flush the oil with no additives. And also because you have excessive wear on the turbo bearings, and the symptoms is too much lateral play on the turbo. You remember in the chapter dedicated to the turbos, I explained that movement, the lateral play. What is the solution? Rebuild the turbocharger. Send the turbocharger to the machine shop in order to replace those bearings. Those bearings are special bearings, plain bearings with high content of phosphorus. Those bearings should be replaced in a special shop, machine shop, with special tools, because you don't have the tools to replace those bearings.